Hey guys, it's Kazuriki Cats and Camera, and today I'm doing my July wrap up. So if you have been here a little while, you know that I was doing my TBR bingo throughout July. I'll leave the link above so you know what the crap I'm on about. But basically I got you guys to pick out numbers, and those numbers had a book title on them, and that's what I read. Quite a few people participated, which I thought was awesome. I really like the fact that people cared and actually gave me numbers and wanted to join in. I got quite a few. I didn't think I was going to get through them all, but I read 15 things in July. Yeah, I think I only didn't get to maybe 2 books. One of them I purposefully kept for my booktubeathon TBR, and one of them I'm halfway through. So, I mean, that's pretty legit, right? 15 books. Anyway, let's just get into them. Because I've read so much, I don't want to go crazy into them. But I do write reviews for every book that I read on Goodreads, so I'll put my link down below if you care to read them. Some of them are a few lines, some of them are paragraphs. Depends on whether I can be asked to say anything at the time. So the first 2 things I read was Volume 2 and Volume 3 of the Saga of Darren-chan manga version. And yeah, this is just a really cool, fun manga version, really quick reads. Next I read Pretties by Scott Westerfeld. I enjoyed this. I did think a few things are a bit too predictable. I don't want to say too much because it'll be spoilers, but yeah, it happened like 3 times where it's just something too convenient, I guess, would happen, and it's just like, eye roll. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's not great, it's too predictable sometimes. Hopefully the next book will have some twists in it that I wouldn't see coming, but probably not, because I feel it's kind of cookie cutter. It's kind of cookie cutter in the way it's written, but it's written well enough to be enjoyable. We'll leave it at that. Next I read The Boys on the Rock by John Fox. This is a coming of age story, gay story. It was written in the 80s, so it's like one of the original ones where all this coming of age started. And yeah, it was enjoyable. There are some things that happen you think, oh, it's refreshing that would happen. Obviously it's a really small book and it doesn't read old. Obviously the 80s is not old, but it doesn't feel like it's dated at all, because I think it's set in 1968, but it still reads quite modern. Next I read The Bad Beginnings by I was going to say Lemony Snicket, but then I felt like that wasn't right, but it clearly is. By Lemony Snicket. I've never read this series as a kid. I own all of them apart from 2, so I thought I should probably start reading them. It was fun. It's just a kid's book with crazy stuff happening. Easy read. I've heard that the books get really repetitive because it's kind of the same sort of scenario. Orphans with loads of money. This guy wants the money, so he keeps doing shenanigans to try and get the money. But I feel like if I read them far enough apart, then it will be fun little read. Next I read the graphic novel version of The Mystery Knight by George R.R. Martin and some other people that turn it into a graphic novel. Ben Avery and Mike S. Miller. I really liked the artwork in here. Really clean and bold and stuff. But it had that whole George R.R. Martin thing of having 1,000 bajillion million characters in it. And because it's been shortened into a graphic novel, you kind of don't know what the crap's going on. There's just loads of names being thrown about and you're like, who is anyone? So in that sense, I feel like if you read it again, maybe you'd get more sense of the story. But you'd literally walk into a group of people, all of them will be introduced, and then they'd all start talking about these other people that are not even on the page, so you can't even put a face to the name. So it's a bit much. But the story was enjoyable enough, it was pretty decent. I'm just going to show you this bit that I put on Instagram as well, just because I thought it was hilarious. I'm sure it's not just me that sees the innuendo there. I thought it was so funny when I was reading it. It was alright. I think I gave it like 3 stars. At least when you're reading a George R.R. Martin book, you've got like 1,000 pages to find out who people are. Next I read Volume 7 of Death Note. Obviously I don't want to say too much because it's halfway through the series, so spoilers. But I mean, it was just as fun as the rest of them. Death Note is so overly intelligent. Obviously not to read, but every single character is like second guessing and third guessing and quadruple million thousand guessing each other, and as soon as someone has a thought, somebody else was like, oh, but I bet they're thinking this, and if they're thinking this, then I'll do this and this and this. And it's like, bloody hell, is everyone in Japan this second guessing and this intelligent and this clever to figure out everybody's move all the time? But it's enjoyable, and it's like the staple iconic manga. So next I read Mondays Are Red by Nicola Morgan. This was a reread. I borrowed this from a library years and years ago. I remember enjoying it. It was a bit weird, a bit different, and I picked it up because of the whole synesthesia plot, because I'm going to be doing some videos about books with different disabilities or illnesses or differences in. I already had a massive pile and I remembered the guy had synesthesia in it, so I thought I might give that another read. And after reading it again, I realised there's also a deaf character in here, so yeah, I'll definitely be putting it on one of those lists in the coming future. But yeah, this is kind of like dark. So yeah, the main guy wakes up in hospital after having meningitis, and he has synesthesia, and there's this weird sort of demon thing in his head as well telling him to do stuff, and he has bad thoughts about people, and then stuff starts being real, and it's really weird and different. It's not the best book in the world. It's enjoyable though. Next I read Long Gone Dawn by the Etherington brothers. I've had this for a while. I picked it up at a Comic-Con, not last year, but the year before, I think. I actually met them. They were sat at the table and they kind of like talking at me as I walked past, and I was like, no, I hate people. And they were really cool, and I talked to them for a while, and they were like telling me about their series and stuff, so I picked up the book. They're obviously good at talking. Most of the time I would just walk away from people because they're scary, but because they were there, I got this signed and also got a little drawing of one of the characters. This was a fun book. It's like middle grade kid stuff book, you know, like Asterix and Obelix, that sort of thing, so adults can enjoy it, but it's also for kids. The artwork's really cool and random, and it's about this kid that dies, and that sounds horrible, but right at the beginning he dies, and then he goes off to this weird underworld type place, and just stuff's happening, and there's a baddie, and then there's friends, and there's just loads of fun stuff happening. Next I read The Sisters Brothers by Patrick Dewitt. This is a western, and it was like meant to be satirical and dark humour, but it just missed the mark for me. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was alright, but there was just some, it was just very blah. Not a lot happened. They were just walking about a bit. It was easy to read. The chapters are really short and you could blast through it, but it also took me a long time to read. It took me like a week to read because I kept blasting through a little bit and then putting it down and having no emotion or no thought to pick it back up because it was interesting, because it was just kind of like eh. And it felt like from A to B there was just no point of it. There's no point of the story. The ending, there was no point. Everything that was kind of meant to be the big hype ending kind of just fell flat, and it was just kind of meh. And also I wanted it to be funnier. Everybody kept saying how funny, dark, humorous and stuff on the back and in reviews on Goodreads, and I was like, where is the humour? Because I want some of that. It sounded really cool. I've never read a western before because they're just not really my thing. I'm not really a fan of them to watch either, apart from 310 to Yuma, the remake one. That's a really cool, and like No Country for Old Men. A couple I enjoy, but in general it's not really a thing that I do. So I thought this would be a cool way to get in there with the humorous side or the darkness, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't dark, it wasn't funny, it was barely a western. It was just kind of blah. Next I read Chinese Handcuffs by Chris Crutcher. I enjoyed this. It was really heavy, it was harsh. It's about these 2 characters, and both of them have got like really deep dark shit going on. We have Dylan, who witnesses his brother's suicide, and then you have Jennifer, who has got a really horrible home life and she's abused by her stepdad, and it's just really heavy and harsh and hard hitting. I know all that sounds bad, but the thing that almost got me of this of being like, can I read this? Towards the beginning there's this flashback of when Dylan and his brother killed a cat, and I know that sounds really like blasé when I just told you that one of the characters is getting abused by a stepdad and another one witnessed a suicide, but it literally, there was 4 pages worth of describing them hurting a cat, and it was like, oh my god, can I read this because this is bad, like really describing it. But I got past that. Can you say you enjoy a book when it's about dark topics like this? I thought it was good. I thought the way it was written was good, and I picked up another one of his books because I do like hard-hitting contemporary. Hopefully none of the other ones have animal abuse in, because apparently I can read about human abuse but not about animal abuse. Next I read Preacher Volume 1, Gone to Texas. This one I actually enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would. not saying that I thought it was going to be bad, because why would you pick up a book that you did, but I did watch the first season of this show, and it was kind of weird because I kind of liked it, but also it was kind of like, eh. And I remember I watched the first episode of the second season and was like almost falling asleep with it. I don't know whether it's because I was tired or because the episode was boring, but yeah, there's just something about the TV series. And also I know, before anyone says, that the first season of the TV series, it's like a prequel to this, so it is kind of boring because loads of stuff happens, and in here it's like bang straight to the end of that. But even so, it was like, do I enjoy watching this, or do I just enjoy Joseph Gilgun as a character and as a person, as an actor? And is that the only reason I'm watching it? Because if it was all of Joseph Gilgun, then I would be all over that shit, because I think he's really funny and he's awesome as Cassidy. But all the rest of it was kind of like, eh. I guess the Angel dudes, they were pretty fun. Anyway, why am I giving you a wrap up of the TV series? I don't know. Yes, I read this and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I liked all of the different storylines going on in here. The artwork's not my favourite, but because I enjoyed the story, it was fine. So the artwork's like this, which isn't really my favourite. It's kind of like that old school style. Yeah, I thought this was really cool, and I bought the next volume because I really enjoyed it. I don't know if this has got a new charge. No, it hasn't. Next, I read The New Kids by A.G. Salinger. If you read the synopsis, it is about a coming of age, gay, high school football type shebang. But when you read it, it's actually told from loads of different characters' points of view, and that's only one part of it. So I do feel like it was kind of a little bit sneaky in the approach, that when literally half the book is like the girls in that friend group, and I don't think they're portrayed very well. All they ever do is bitch about all the girls, or bitch about boys, or just bitch in general. And this is written by a female author, I think, so I'm not sure why they've gone the whole girls only bitch route. So that bit was kind of annoying. In general, I did enjoy it. One of the best things about this book was probably the fact that there was a girl and a boy who were best friends, and throughout the whole book, neither of them had feelings for each other. They didn't go out, there was no romanticness there, and I was like, yes, thank you. They'd been friends all their life, and they sit and watch films and had loads of fun, and they got on with each other's family. And it was so refreshing that a boy and a girl could be friends in a book, and there was no feelings from either side. Yeah. One of the things I didn't like though was the ending. I thought it was really over the top and unnecessary what happened right at the end. There's this twist, and it's kind of like, really? Unnecessary? If you want to know the twist without reading the book, then I do have it written on my Goodreads review under spoiler tabs, of course. But yeah, it was just kind of like unnecessary and over the top and pointless. But it was an enjoyable read, it was quick. And last but not least, I have two books that were both read in July but were part of my booktubeathon, TBR. So the first one is The Saints of Augustine by P.E. Ryan. This is a contemporary following two different characters, like each chapter is alternating. They used to be best friends, but now for over a year they haven't talked to each other because something happened and they stopped being friends. And it's just dealing with their lives and what's happening. One of them, his mum died and he's having a hard time. His dad's really down about it. He just gets drunk all the time, and he's got some issues with a local drug dealer. And the other one is coming to terms with his sexuality. He's trying to figure that out, and he's trying to figure out his family situation and relationship situation. I enjoyed it. It was a really quick read. It was fun. And yeah, it's one I've literally never heard anyone say anything about ever. And last but not least, I read volume 8 of Death Note. Again, can't really say anything about it. It's the 8th volume in a series. But one thing I will say is there's a new Shinigami shown in here, and I think he's absolutely adorable. I love his little weird spindly arms and his little scary face. So yeah, if you read this, get to this volume and you'll meet him. It's really cool. So yeah, that's everything I read in July. I can't be asked to put it in a stack. You've just seen me talk about it for a bajillion years. So there we go. So let me know down below what you read in July, or if you've read any of these, what were your thoughts about it? If this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of my others. And if you continue to enjoy them, please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video.